Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Get Wealthy with me. We have our sign, but we're still working on it. But when we get it up, you guys will notice it. Anyways, welcome back. And I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my guest today. And her name is Sahily Pecan. We have totally hit it off. We actually have not known each other for a long, long time, but she's an attorney. She doesn't like to say that. But we totally hit it off. We met, I would say, maybe about 8 months ago, and it's like kindred spirits.
It's like love at first sight.
Love at first. I think her boyfriend is really jealous
A
of our
little bit.
relationship.
A little bit.
I'm thinking, but I digress on that one. So how are you today, my dear?
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. We are going to, like I always tell you guys, we talk about my journey of getting wealthy and where I'm at in my journey and what financial challenges and wins we've had along the way. We compare it to our guests and we kind of chit chat about that and just give you guys little tips, what has worked for us, what hasn't worked for us. And a lot of times my guests are entrepreneurs or they have an entrepreneurial mindset, which doesn't necessarily mean you have your own business. A mindset that's an entrepreneur is one that's versatile and is willing to think and understands how to think outside of the box. So let's talk about you being an attorney first so we can get that out of the way. How about that?
Fun. Okay.
She thinks it's not fun.
It's not. But hey.
So tell us about how come you ended up studying law.
So I went to law school because I was working at an animal shelter and I was so frustrated with the state of things. I wanted to go into animal law. And so I
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I got into law school and I did one whole year of law school. And then I started looking like for jobs, right? They get you to look really early. And when I looked, I was like, oh, I can't do animal law in Florida. Not really. It was only like dog bite cases and things that I wanted to do, like litigate, like legislation. Mm-hmm. And for that, I had to like move to like D.C. or up into Virginia for PETA. And I was like, I'm not doing that. But I've invested a year in law school, so law school it is.
Law school
I guess I'll be a lawyer.
And if you're getting to know Sahily, she is very high energy. And one of the things that I love is I'm high energy and I like to be around high energy people and more optimism. Yeah, you can be pessimistic and we have discussions where we say to each other, "What I don't like this or I don't like that," but we are still like just being honest. And then our thing is we'll say we don't like something, but then we bring something else to the table why we don't like it or how we can make it better.
Yeah, it's always a spirit of like. Yeah,
improving brainstorming, right?
And being like, but loving what we're doing. Too.
Yeah.
The most important thing.
That's the most important thing. So you and I have been working as a team, right? What have we done so far?
Oh my goodness. So I think I knew you for like what, 2 months maybe, and we launched this entire workshop that we're going to be putting. I mean, we got a venue and food and like all the things. We're putting this whole thing together, which I've never done. And we did it in like record time. I can't believe how fast we've done that. We started a nonprofit together, and
what's our nonprofit called?
It's called the Prosperity Academy. And while it's not officially labeled a nonprofit, we're getting there. We got the paperwork in.
An official corporation,
it's an official
right?
corporation in Florida, and so yeah, we.
So and we got to wait on the IRS, so we can't officially advertise it, but we have everything duck in a row.
Not to mention all the things we have in the works.
Yeah.
For the future. So,
yeah. So we started the nonprofit and we're working on our prosperity seminar. It's called Reset 2025. I think by the time we air this, it is going to be already finished. So we will probably have like some stuff on that. Recap maybe next time. But we have so much more. I think 2025 is going to be our year.
Fun too.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Well, I think work, if you're enjoying your work, it's not.
Yeah.
That's the base,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah.
So if we were going to if we were going to talk about something, so I'm a CPA and you're an attorney. Not that we want to say that you shouldn't be a CPA or you shouldn't be an attorney, right? I how do we explain the pros and
Oh no, I say that
cons?
all the time. Seriously, anyone who's like, I want to go to law school, I'm like, why do you want to go to law school? And okay, I get it. Like everyone's different, and maybe someone like that being a lawyer is for them, but I don't think really people understand the implications of
Right.
what it takes to become a lawyer, and then what you got to do as a lawyer. So like if that's your jam, God bless you.
So what?
But
So
for
if
most
someone,
people, mm-mm.
so what? Let's say if someone wants to go to law school and they have a specific type of law, like for example, some of the kids that I see today, right? They love debating, right? So they feel like if they're debaters, then law school might be one of the
Yeah, but
things
it's so
that they
much
were.
more than that. So
Right.
like the
So
times that you get to do that are not.
so why, if someone wants to become a lawyer, um, what would you advise them,
Go
like
work at a
career
law firm.
wise?
Go work at a law firm.
Go work at a law
Work at
firm.
a law firm and really get a feel for like pay attention. Pay attention to the partners. How long are the attorneys there? Are they happy? Do they take lunch breaks? Do they eat at their desk? Follow them to court, see what it's like in court. What do they do? You want to be fighting all day, like see how the judges treat the lawyers and how they treat each other. Like pay a lot of attention and then determine if
So
that's
what
the
kind
life
of
you
law
want.
is that, would you say? Because there's like criminal law
That's
and
civil litigation. So civil litigation is what most people go into. But there's also transactional, which is like just drafting wills and trusts and doing tax work and things like that. That's different. Those are the people who don't want to go into court and like duke it out, but they like the paperwork side of it, which is really me.
right.
But I ended up in civil litigation anyway. So
Right. So that's, I kind of want to guide the kids out there
yes.
on, when you're choosing a career or you're looking into a career,
Oh, it's such a good
it's a
question.
deeper.
What you have to look at. Yeah. So what I
Yeah.
always tell people is before you choose a career, just say like, oh, I want to be a lawyer because it looks good on TV or because I think I'm a good debater. That's not good enough. Like you need to really look at what you want ultimately, right? So what kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want the kind of lifestyle where you make tons of money and you're always busy and you're always wearing a suit and you're moving and shaking and doing all the things? If that's what you want, great. But if you want the kind of lifestyle where you're making a lot of money, but you also have a lot of freedom and you get to go, on vacation whenever you want, wherever you want, however long you want to be there and things like that, then being a lawyer is not going to be for you. You will not have that. So look at the end goal and then see what you can do, what skills or what passions you have that will support that lifestyle instead of just picking a career and then figuring out where that takes you in life.
So what about the wills, estates, and tax law? That might be
Again, that might be supportive of the kind of life somebody wants to have, but
right.
go find out. Go ask lawyers that are doing that. Go work in a law firm that does that. Go find out first. And if you figure out, I don't know that I want to do this, or you might say, yeah, I do want to do this. This guy works like 4 hours a day. He doesn't work on Fridays. This is wonderful. Makes tons of money. It's really chill. Then fine. Then do that.
So I agree with you, but some of the kids are always looking for the easy way out, right? What I want them to also understand, and what you and I have understood, is you got to pay your dues.
Oh, I don't know. No, Sharon. I'm not there with you.
Okay, tell me.
So that is a mindset issue that we have adopted from society, right? From like this, and I love this because, I love talking about like feminine energy, right?
Okay.
This is something we've adopted from like the patriarchy type, masculine doing and striving and working hard. You got to work hard to make money. Like that's one of my biggest things that I'm still working on, right? You got to work hard to make money, which is what you're saying. You got to pay your dues.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Paying my dues means I got to invest the time
For sure. You always
into
do.
what I want to do. So, for example, let me give you, before we go into the feminine energy thing, right? This is the second half of my life,
Yes.
right? And I am not necessarily changing careers. I've been a tax accountant and a corporate accountant all of my adult life. So now my real love is financial literacy and intentional money management. I am working a lot of hours, not necessarily hard, but sometimes it's a challenging, right? But I know what my end
But you
goal
love
is.
it.
But I love some of what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but not everything that what I'm doing I love, but I know what my end goal is. So sometimes you got to do some of
I
these
agree with that.
things.
I agree with that. I want to be I'm always mindful that people fall into this class of thinking of I gotta work hard for money, and I don't believe that. I don't necessarily think that it's gonna be easy, but it should be enjoyable along the way. You don't need to like
You
work
shouldn't be
really
miserable 24
hard. Yeah,
hours.
and you don't have to work really hard to deserve it. You already deserve it. Now, what do you want to do? How do you want to contribute to society? How do you want to give back, right? Because I feel like if you approach it in that energy, like this is what I want my life to look like, right? This is the lifestyle that I want. Now,
Right.
what can I give back that will help me, that will be supportive of what I want? Right? I wish I would have seen that before, like before I picked a career. I wish I could have seen it like that, in the spirit of like giving back to society. What are my gifts
What are
that
your
I can give
gifts?
back that will be
Absolutely.
supportive of the kind of life that I want? I didn't do any of that. None of that.
So I kind of did that, but like you said, society's a little bit against us a little bit, you know? So for me, I knew my gifts were numbers, right? And I like numbers, but that doesn't mean that everything with numbers I'm going to do or I'm going to like doing, right?
Agreed.
So just like some people's gift might be debating, but that doesn't mean that they need to be a lawyer or that certain kind of lawyer. There might be something out there that has to do with debating that you like. So what I'm saying is that we need to let society know more about what's within these careers. One is, what is the need in society? And what are our gifts? There's several layers, right?
Agreed.
What are the needs? Meaning, what is a marketable career? What are our gifts? And then what do we feel fulfilled doing?
Yeah, and again, and also, what do we want our life to look like? Because if we don't have that end goal, you said end goals,
End
right?
goal,
You
yep.
don't have that end goal in mind. You don't know where you're going. Your life is just going to become whatever it is. So, like for me, my life became this like, nonstop working. I wasn't, taking care of my body and all this stuff because I just became a lawyer, and then I just started working, and I just let the career take me instead of me guiding where I wanted to go. So yeah.
And that, I will tell you, is one of my challenges that I think I let life take me to certain areas too.
I think all of us have that little bit of a challenge, whether we're intentional or not. Like, life just gets so busy. There's just so many things to do. So many things are pulling at our attention, right? That it happens. It happens.
Right. So
But you're aware of it, so that's a good thing.
now I am, but I wish I had explored it a little bit more when I was younger. You know,
Me too.
so that's but it's different layers. So what I'm saying is that it's not just one thing. You don't pick the job that you're only going to
Agreed.
work 4 hours a day.
It's not just one thing.
Right.
It's multi-layered.
it's
But it's an
multi-layered.
analysis that I'm saying I never even did, and I don't think children really like think of, like, who does, who thinks about that, right?
Well, society is all about sending us to college,
Exactly.
sending us
Go
to
to college
expensive
so you can get
colleges.
a good job, so that you can, that's like the motto, and it's not always.
But there's so many kids that are graduating from college not getting a good job because they
Correct.
did not do a marketable degree. So they're not, and then they
They did
owe
no
so
research,
much
nothing.
money. Yeah, so they don't, and don't equip them. High schools, I have a kid that graduated high school 5 years ago. I have another kid that's graduating high school this year. And nothing is taught about, okay, they ask them what they want to be,
Yeah,
but
like the
that's not enough.
practicalities of
Like,
it.
what do you want to
Correct.
be? What are you interested in? How will they know what they're interested in if you have not exposed them
Exactly.
to different things? Okay, if you see a kid that likes science or biology or whatever, expose them to something. Tell them, what are all the careers within. We are so antiquated when it comes to that. So I did a seminar the other day, and it was on jobs, right? It was kind of a talk, and I was listening to it. So number one is we have a issue, not enough workers for the amount of jobs that we have already in our society. Number two, baby boomers are retiring already, and that's 20% of our workforce. Number three, they say AI is going to take all of that. I personally don't believe
think
that.
so either.
So I believe AI will help us with mundane tasks, and you're probably not going to be a data inputter or whatever. Just like how scanning machines have us doing less cashiers or whatever, but it's not completely. You still, even if you're at Walmart and you're doing your own scanning, you still need a person there
When
to
things go wrong.
yeah, because you still need. I almost always need a person when I go up to that machine. So I don't believe that part. But what they also said, which is a big deal in our society, and I don't think there's enough of a microphone for it. They also said is that yes, we might have 100 jobs and only 90 workers. Like in Florida, for example, this was the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and they said we have 100 jobs in South Florida, but we only have 90 people for those jobs. But that's not the big problem, right? We think that's a problem, but it isn't. There's a job mismatch. So we have 100 jobs, but these 90 people that are unemployed, only
They can't
40,
match.
40 of them are qualified for the 100 jobs.
It's funny because the attorney world's different, right? In our world, there's like, 50 jobs and 150 lawyers, whatever. I'm just throwing numbers out there
Right.
as it's not accurate. But like we have
So maybe that's not a
more-
marketable degree.
Yeah, we have more attorneys. Like we just keep churning out attorneys, like this attorney making machine, all these law schools. But then they can't find adequate jobs. So it's just
See, so that might
Yeah.
not be a marketable degree.
Yeah.
So
So it comes back to like do your homework, do your research, think about your life in as a big picture and not just like because you think it looks good or because you think they make money.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
No.
also, when you're doing your research, this is the one thing I wanted to say to you guys that education is an investment. It's an investment for you, it's an investment for society, and it's an investment for your parents if they're putting money involved in it. And I'm sure almost all parents put some type of money in there. So if just like I hear this all the time with all these young adults, I want to learn how to invest. I want to learn how to invest. Start with your education, right? It doesn't have to be a bachelor's degree education. And I tell my own kids
Something.
this. It's you want to have a career. I personally have clients that graduated high school, but they have entrepreneurial mindset. They're smart people, and education does not mean intelligence, because there's also a lot of stupid educated people.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know a better way to say that.
And also, like, education doesn't equal incomes. A lot of broke lawyers, too.
Right.
So,
That here we go with the marketable degrees,
Yeah.
right? So investigating what it is, what society tells you on the outside should be your career, or what looks glamorous on the outside is not probably what you need to look at. You need to do something you love. Yes, it has to be something that what you but do your process. It's a multi layers, like Sahily said, and check out your investment. If you're going to invest in higher education or wherever you're investing in education, you want to understand your returns. That's how the stock market
Absolutely.
works, right? So if you want to learn how to invest, all these younger people want to learn how to invest. Start with your education. Start learning how to work your budget. Start learning what a credit card is. Start learning all those things. Invest in education and financial literacy, and you will be able to start learning how to invest in other things. What do you think?
yeah, sounds great. I never even considered that aspect of it. Like, look at what your return on investment is for your degree. For example, my law degree, I'll tell you the number. It's about $240,000 to mortgage. And so, I never even gave thought to, okay, well, maybe I am. And by the way, I started at $55,000 with $240,000.
That was your salary.
That was my salary when I first started. Now, granted, this was back in 2009.
Yeah, but you
when
still
the-
had $250,000.
Exactly.
In loans.
In loans. And
Yes.
I never considered that. I never even considered, I just assumed lawyers made great money, right?
Right.
And when you're young, you're like, oh, $55,000, $60,000 sounds great at that time in 2009. But then once you actually start working and you see how much life costs and you see how much you have to pay back, you're like, honestly, at one point, I was so tired of being a lawyer. I started looking at just random other jobs. And I remember this specifically. I saw a job as a dog catcher, right? For the Humane Society.
Yeah, you told me that.
Right.
You're back
And it
to
was,
the dogs.
It was $80,000. And here I am as a lawyer working such long hours, being miserable, making $55,000. I was so upset. I was like, I could have been a dog catcher? Really? For $80K? I would've done it.
$55,000 with $250,000 in loans.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good thing to consider, your return on investment.
Your return on investment.
Yeah.
So you're all about this feminine energy, right? So I
Yes.
really want to start talking about the feminine energy. So hold up, guys. You don't have to turn the podcast off. We're not talking about just girls. We're
Right.
talking about masculine energy and feminine energy. It could be in
Which has nothing to do with being feminine or being masculine. It's
or
all
being male,
about
female, or
male, female.
other.
Everyone has masculine and feminine. So the way I like to see it is I call it hustle and flow, right? So we all need both to balance it out. So we need to hustle, right, to get things done.
And that's everybody, guys
Everybody.
and girls.
Men and women. And then, but we also need a state of flow, a state of where we feel like what we're doing, we're in ease, we're getting our work done, and it feels good, and we're allowing things to flow in our life. We both need that. However, women tend to need a lot more flow in life than they do hustle, even though we do need both of those things. And that's a lesson that it took me a very long time to learn.
So women need flow, but are they flowing?
I-
Are they? Do they?
Women?
We need it, but are we in that
I
state?
wasn't.
How
For a
often are
long-
we?
For a long time, I wasn't. I was a complete masculine energy hustling. It was a 24-hour hustle. And I was so tired and I was so burned out. And I didn't understand why, I couldn't just push through and get things done all the time, 24/7, like at the time my husband could. Until I learned about this, hustle and flow energy and how more feminine women need to be in more flow state. And so when it comes to money, one thing I didn't know or understand was that the feminine energy is what allows you to receive money, right? The energy of receiving is the energy, the feminine energy, the flow. And so I was always in hustle, 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 hustle. I didn't even know how to receive. I couldn't even receive a compliment from somebody, right?
I have a problem with that.
And so, gifts, if a friend wanted to pay for something, I would be like, no, 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 you don't have to, you don't have to. Like, I just wasn't a good receiver. And so one of
Absolutely.
the biggest lessons, one of the biggest breakthroughs for me with money was learning how to receive. That is the one thing that really, and I'm still working on that, right? Because
Right.
still,
right. It's a process.
for women, we feel bad when someone gives us
Yes.
something or offers us
The
something.
guilt kills
the guilt.
us.
Like, oh, you paid for my meal. No, you don't have to. No, receive it. Thank you so much. Because also when someone does something like that out of like, they genuinely want to pay for your meal, let's say, don't rob them of
Right.
the joy of giving you something, right? Because if they're giving, they want to give.
Right.
So I've really had to hone in on that and work a lot on myself and just allow myself to receive compliments, gift graciously and be in gratitude for those things.
So it took therapy for me to learn about that.
Same. Same. Therapy and lots of
My
coaching.
therapist said to me, he said, I can so see that you're not a good receiver, but let me explain something to you. He said to me, do you know the robbing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, think about it when you're giving somebody something, you feel good. You're robbing them from their energy of feeling
Right.
good.
And when you give someone a gift, you want them to be like, oh my God, I
Right.
love it. Thank you so much. This is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. But instead of you like, oh no, I can't take this. Please take it back. Like, nobody wants to feel that when you're giving a gift to somebody. So yeah.
So you have to think of it on the other side. And it even goes back, for me, it goes back to my culture. My grandmother was in a nursing home towards the end. She was 97 years old. And she would save these cookies in wrapped up paper napkins like she got from like the downstairs and whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not eating that cookie. But she would save it for us, and if we did not accept that, it would be a big deal.
Yeah.
So I pleasantly accepted my cookie and thanked my grandma and fed it to the dog.
There you go. Exactly.
But thank God,
It's-
grandma's
be-
not alive anymore,
grateful
so
for
she
the
won't
thought,
be upset.
right?
Yeah, but I was robbing her. If I don't accept it, I'm robbing her of feeling good.
Exactly.
So she's 97 years old. I can't. How do you rob her of that? Even if she gives you $1, like she would be like, okay, she wraps up her money and she'd be giving you $1. You take the dollar, donate it, or whatever
Agreed.
it is. Yeah. So I absolutely agree that And women are sucking at receiving.
We are in general women, because we're like the caretakers and we're the nurturers and we're the ones that like take care of everybody, because we have what's called the diffused our attention is diffused, right? As where men are single focused, so they have something to do and they can singly focus on that one thing. Not women. We're trying to do one thing, but then we see the laundry like hanging out over here, and then we hear the dog that needs to go out over there, and then we remember we have to pick up our kids, and don't forget to call that friend back, and I have to get ready for the potluck, and we have all of these things that are like buying for our attention, and usually we're the ones to take care of everything.
Now, does that happen when we get together? When
You
we
and
have
I?
our brainstorming, we have loads of brainstorming. One of the things that I'm learning when I'm in this half of my new business with the Modern Savvy CP and Get Wealthy with Me is it takes a team. And I am building one of the most fabulous teams that I'm so enjoying building my team. And you're part of that. And my team is not necessarily just people that are, I don't consider them working for me. I consider them working with me. So whoever it is, whether I'm paying them or I'm not, or however monetarily, yet I consider them working with me. So the thing is, no matter where you are on the team, one, you'll have to be a high energy person to be along with me, because then you'll be exhausted if you're not.
You're not kidding.
Two, see, she knows. So two is that like every time I talk to someone on my team, it's a new idea. It's something that I haven't thought about. So whether you are 25 or you are 55 on my team, it's even with the women's group that we're in, we're always like brainstorming. The
Having mastermind is wonderful.
brainstorming is amazing.
Invaluable.
The ideas that come out of it from all different aspects is amazing. So communicating, talking, brainstorming, I think that's how you build. That's how you build empires.
I agree, 100%.
And Sahily and I are building an empire, believe it or not.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Many empires, because we're
One workshop at a time.
one workshop at a time, but we're multi-focused. Is that the word? You said
Multi-passionate.
single-focused and multi-passionate, multi-focused, multi-passionate, multi-everything. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So explain again what masculine energy is and how it comes to a person. Like, how do you relate it into a person? Or
Well,
what feminine
everyone has it.
energy?
We just have it. It's like we don't need to we just have it within us, right? We have that energy. The masculine energy is the energy of structure and getting things done and focus and planning and doing, right? Doing, directing, delegating. All that is masculine.
Not a lot of
energy.
brainstorming then.
Yeah, you're also doing. So brainstorming also is part of it. So the feminine energy is the energy of just being, flowing, receiving, gratitude, love, connection, right? That's the feminine energy. And so I think one way to really get a picture of this in a male, it's like, imagine that you have one of your sons or any man in your life that has a hobby they just love. Can you think of anyone like that? Where they just get into that hobby and they're like in the zone there.
Yes, my older son is a Lego fanatic,
There you go.
and he's in a zone when he's with Lego.
Yeah. So then that energy, that flow state that he can get into, maybe when he's building something or anything, that's the feminine energy. Even though
But
he's
it's
doing,
so focused.
yes, even though he's doing, he's flowing. Like my boyfriend, he rides motocross. And even though it seems like that's masculine, that energy that he has where it's easy, it's flowing, it's perfect, like he's landing and turning and everything's working like magic, that's the feminine energy. So we need, as women, we need that energy of like everything in life is flowing and everything is feeling good and it's positive and we're relaxing and we're allowing ourselves to receive. Like we need that feeling, that rest
So,
in order to
question
receive.
on that.
Yes.
So, is there a combination of it that we need in our lives? Like, I know you've done a lot of personal development.
Yes.
And in the past maybe 5 years you've done a lot of personal development
So
courses and
much.
workshops.
Yeah.
So is there a combination of masculine feminine energy that one should have, like
Yeah,
what?
absolutely. So I'll give you an example, like just in a day to day thing, right? So let's say you're an entrepreneur, you run a business, and you know that today you need to film and put some things on social media. Okay, so you do your filming, and you plan it out. You do your filming, you do your editing, and you post it. This is all masculine energy you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you post it, and then you trust, right? You let it go. You trust. You're like, my day is done. I'm gonna go and treat myself to a walk or going to the gym, and you trust that what you put out into the world is enough, right? Because the energy of trust is a feminine energy as well. Instead of like you posted it and now you're like in there and like you're checking, you're like, did somebody like it? Is it working? Like all being really hyper
That sounds like
focused.
anxiety.
That yeah, it could come off as anxiety. And then like, okay, well, I finished that. Well, I can't just sit. I have to go do something else. I have to be productive. I have to work, 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 right? Instead of having a day that allows you to have both things, where you get your work done, you trust it's enough, you give yourself some time and space to relax. You get to the end of the day, you feel good about what you've done. You're not like, oh, I said that I was going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I really only did 2. And it's because, so and so called me and interrupted me. And oh my God, and tomorrow's going to be so busy. And like, it's letting go of that and allowing yourself to have both of those energies. Really feel both of those energies.
So I equate it like you say trust. So I'm a very faithful person. So I would say faith, right?
Yes, faith.
I have the saying that my team hears me say all the time. Sometimes I forget, but I say I do my best and God does the rest. So
Exactly right.
and I teach the kids, the boys, I'm like, because a lot of people in my life, because I am a hyper focused person, they think I'm a perfectionist. But I am not necessarily a perfectionist. I'm a no nonsense person, meaning I don't like excuses, right? But I'm asking you, I don't say you have to be the best. So I'm not asking you to get 100% on an exam, for example. I'm asking you to do your best on that. What is your best?
And then trust.
Yes.
Trust that you've done enough.
But to me, so this is where I think, I don't know where we're at on this or where you're at on this, is you have to know yourself to understand what your best is.
Oh, absolutely.
So
For sure.
where do you stop? What understand? And I'm still understanding what my best is, because I have to check on myself all the time. I have to say, okay, is this my best? Am I doing?
Yeah.
Have I done everything that I could in this situation?
That's a hard one. I think for women especially, it's a hard one because for some women who are like me, type A, perfectionist, I know
Yep.
it's you as well. It's hard to know when our best is because we are so self-critical. And that's where personal development and or therapy come into place. Because
Right.
a lot of that comes from childhood, can come from some traumatic experiences, can come from conditioning, can come from a lot
Culture.
of old culture, some old stuff that's not yours that was given to you by, along the way sometime in life. And so then I do think you need to do some inner work. I do think you might need to get a therapist if it has, if it's that far along, so that you know what's enough, because if not, you're always, and this happened to me, always working, always striving, never happy because it was never good enough and it could have been better and why didn't I do it better? And it's just, that is exhausting as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It is draining.
Absolutely.
And it is exhausting.
Yeah. So one of the things also is, like I always, like, I know a lot of people in my life, particularly family life and things like that, is I find that they'll tell me something, right? They'll tell me something about themselves, and I know they're lying. They're not lying to me.
They're lying to themselves.
They're lying to themselves because they actually believe what they're saying. I know they're full of crap, but I'm not. If you are talking to me and you believe what you're saying, you're so far off. I don't say anything, because then I'm gonna have an argument with them. Like, why are you lying to yourself? Oh, no, I'm not lying to myself. So to me, so I admit certain things myself. So I think that's part of the personal development thing.
For sure.
You have to like yourself for who it is. That doesn't mean there's not room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but how much do you want to improve?
Yeah.
What are you going to be satisfied with?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I want to say. Like, we all have work to do, but don't let that stop you from saying, "Well, I can't really relax yet because I haven't, done enough." That's that back to that energy, right? Or
Yes.
like, well, I haven't done enough work to be able to earn this or that. Like, you got to untangle all that. Just start where you are right now, and start. If you're a woman, especially, just do the things that you know you have to do, and then lean back, and trust.
And trust.
And relax
And
and
have faith.
treat yourself and give yourself respect, give yourself peace. If you're a mom, this is one of the best things I say. If you're a mom, just imagine how you would want your child, like when your child gets older, how you would want your child to live. Do you want your child to live, always hustling from one thing to another and never getting any rest and not feeling good enough? No. It's easy when we take the focus off of ourselves, right? Because for me, especially, like, it was really easy for me to commit to things when it was for other people. But then when it came to committing to myself, it was really hard. So, like, I could wake up at 5 in the morning to pick up Sharana and take her to, the airport if that's what you needed. But I won't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out and take care of my body.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah. So when it's for us, we kind of let ourselves go by the wayside. But if you really think about your children or a friend you really love and care about, would you want them to lead the kind of life that you're leading right now, where they're always, hustling and fighting and scraping and yada, yada, yada? Or would you like to see them, do the work and then relax and enjoy life and be in gratitude and take time to have friendships and hobbies and things like that?
So this all comes back to money and finance.
It does, because
right?
I believe you attract more money, especially as a woman, when you do that, when you allow this spaciousness to relax and receive.
So one of my premises also is why I started working with financial literacy, is because so much of our lives is around money and our misunderstanding of money and the emotions we put on money, right? So I feel like society swings on two different on a pendulum, and they're on this side or on this side. So this side is our parents' kind of society where it's about deprivation, right? So the olden days, the baby boomers, they deprive themselves of everything, and they save, save, save. They put it under the mattress. They don't invest it wisely. They're not thinking of it as an overall thing. They're just putting that emotion that it has to be tight, right? And that's how they live. And then we have today's society, right, where they want everything yesterday. Like, for example, I was talking to my niece and her husband that was down here, and they have all these plans. They're 30 years old. They have all these plans. They want to move down here. They want to sell their house. They want to buy a rental property. They want to have kids. They want to travel. They want to do it all in 1 year. I'm like, hold on. If you have, and they're not starting because they want to do 10 things, right? So if you never start, you're not going to do one thing.
Yeah, I always like to tell people you can have it all, just not all at the same time. So, for example, and I know it may sound negative, but think about it this way. Let's say you had all the money in the world, right? Literally, you can go anywhere, do anything. You have all the money. You can go anywhere in the world, but you can't be in Fiji and in Scotland at the same time.
Right.
So, yes, you can go to Fiji whenever you want, and you can go to Scotland whenever you want, but
just
you
not
can't go at the same time. And I feel like other things in life are like that too, and we don't see them that way, so we try and do everything at the same time, then we don't do really anything right. And guilty, because my word for next year is focus. Because I said I'm multi-passionate, and so my big thing is focus. I can have it all, just not all at the same time. I have to remember that.
So I don't know if you've heard me say this, but you will understand all of my sayings within a year. And it's only been 6 months. So one of my things is people always say to me, so I hate negative connotations around money. So I hate the word I can't afford it. I hate the word.
I also don't like that.
I hate that phrase. I can't afford it. I hate the phrase.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I think language is so important.
And language is important. I hate the phrase, oh, that is always complaining about money. I hate complaining about money.
It's too expensive. There isn't enough. I
Yes,
can't afford
I hate
it.
all the negative
Yeah.
connotations and phrases that have to do with money. So I have a bunch of sayings that come along with that because in my life, all of my life, gratitude has made everything enough. So when my husband used to make $6 an hour working at Pergamon Home Center and I was a bank teller for $8 an hour, we were grateful and that made it enough. We lived, we went, we did little trips, day trips. I went to school, you know,
Yes, about working with what you have and
working with
enjoying
what you
life
have.
with what you have. And
Gratitude,
yes,
do this state. Don't say, when I get this, I will do this. When I get that, I will do that. What can you do now with what you
exactly.
have? So on this pendulum, I always say moderation is the key to everything. So money is this, absolutely, moderation is the key to everything. So all the negative connotations, I have this one that is close to you, what you're saying about you can't be at two places at the same time. I have a priority list. My priority list gets long sometimes, but there's only one number one, one number two. There's only one. It's a list, right? What do you make on a list? It's numbers.
Yeah, a slot for each thing.
It's one. Okay? I'm not gonna tell you that my list, my priorities change. So when I was younger, when I was 19 years old, college was number one on my priority list. When I got a little older, when I finished college, buying a house became number one. Kids became number one. You know, everything else is still on there. It's just that they're a different priority. I'm not taking
Agreed.
anything off of my list. They're just a different priority. So there's nothing on my list I say I can't afford. It's my priority list has goals. So the goals depends on the order of the list.
Agreed.
So that's how I think of money. You know, that's how I think of finances is the priority list. And I don't take anything off. I don't ask people to take things off when I'm teaching them how to budget and things like that. But I ask you to prioritize. And in different stages of your life, different things will be prioritized. That doesn't mean that if you have retirement on the bottom or retirement savings on the bottom, you shouldn't be putting $10 in there. You should be putting $10. It's not your priority. You're not saving for a house, but it should be on that list.
I'm with you on that one. Took me a while to get there, though. Made a lot of mistakes along the way, honestly.
Well, challenges come with that, right?
Absolutely.
Have they
So
made
many.
you stronger?
Yeah. I mean, everything, I believe that everything that we go through is given to us to become better, right?
Right.
You typically don't get better in when everything is great in life. Like everything is great, everything's flowing, there's really nothing to learn, life is perfect. You get better when you have a challenge and you have to figure it out and you have to overcome it. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I know how to do that. It's like playing video games. I'm sure, do your kids play video games?
They do.
You ever watch them play video games? Yeah, have you ever played yourself?
I have not played video games.
Okay, I played lots and lots of video games growing up. And it's just, life is so similar to video games in the sense that, you start off, right? And at the beginning, when you start off, everything looks scary because you haven't done anything. You run up against a monster and you're like, jump on the monster. Like, you get him, you kill him, okay, you move on. You're like, yay, and you hit the block and you get this is old school Mario. And then you come up, you jump, and you fall into a pit. And you're like, oh, great. I fell into the pit. You could stop there and you could throw the control, right? And be done with it. Or you can try again.
Right.
So you go, you run up against a monster, you jump on him, you get your thing, and you see that pit again, you're like, ha. I saw the pit. I fell in it the first time. I'm not falling in again. Jump over the pit. Great. You're feeling good, and you're like, okay, going to go to the next thing. Oh, bigger monster. You get eaten. Start again. This is what it feels like to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm starting again. Okay, but I'm not starting from nothing because now I know the first monster. I know the pit. I know the second monster. Maybe I have to fight him 2 or 3 times, but I'll get it eventually. Right. And I'll get to the end of the level. Right. And when you get to the end of the level, you feel like a rock star, right?
Right.
And then you're like, level 2, completely different. Oh, no. And that's how it is as an entrepreneur. You're always leveling up. But you come with the information from level 1, right?
So is that hustle or flow?
That is hustle, and which is why we need to learn how to get in the flow, to do both of them, right? Because we do have to hustle. If we don't get into masculine energy as women, then we just lay around the house all day, like eating and watching TV and just enjoying life. That's wonderful. great, but we also have to, make money. So
And
we need both.
and sometimes the hustle is fun.
I agree. Sometimes the hustle is fun.
And especially if it's something that is flowing for you, right?
Yes,
So if
exactly.
you're enjoying it, then the hustle
You've
is
got a little bit
more,
of both.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you got a little bit of both. So I think that's where probably you and I are. We want to make our hustle part of our flow.
Flow. We want to make the hustle flow.
Yes. So we're working on that. And we're working on that. One of the things that I also wanted to talk to you about is how does your background, how does your family background shape your ideas on money? Like, what did you learn? What was your challenges? What did you learn, positive or and negative?
So I
from?
think that was the catalyst or like the foundation for me to become a better person, to be honest, my background, because it's all negative. it's terrible to say, but
Mom
it's
and
all,
dad,
love you, mom and dad. So sorry.
don't watch this,
But
okay?
my parents, some parents give their children, like a trust fund or whatever. I was given, like, I started life in the negative, right? Like, my parents put things under my name that then went into default.
Oh boy.
Right. So, scarcity mentality, definitely lack in all the things. And but you know what? That is what got me to this
That was
level.
your lesson.
That was the catalyst to get me to, like, I don't want this anymore for my life. I want
Right.
something different. Let's learn.
Yes.
Let's learn. There's people making money, so if they can do it, I can do it. So
Right.
let's learn about money. And so, I took a money course, and that was a catalyst into, like, all of this
Because it
personal
all,
work.
the other thing is people will come to me and they'll say, I'm broke, I don't know why. They'll say, oh, I'm not good with money. And then they end the conversation there. Okay.
That would have been me a few years ago.
Light bulb, guys. Money and finances is a part of our lives. All of our lives. You don't have a choice about that. You can't live without money. It is part of our lives. Now, there's a choice that you have in a situation, but the actual money being a part of your life is not a choice. You can choose to be good or you can choose to be bad. It's a journey. It's a marathon. We all struggle with it. We all
At one
are
level
learning.
or another, yeah.
Yeah,
I think everyone.
we're brainstorming at different times. I struggle with it, but you can't give up. Like Sahily was talking about, if you give up when the monster eats you out and you go into debt and you're miserable and you go,
Right, you just try again.
you
If
keep
try
trying
again, you'll
to
eventually
get better at it.
Yeah,
That's your choice, is whether you're going to use it to better your life or you're going to use it to bury yourself.
exactly.
That's the choice you have.
And some people make the choice to just bury the head in the sand and just not deal
Yes.
with it.
And if you choose to bury your head in the sand, you're choosing to let money control you.
Yeah, and I sympathize with that because I was like that for many years. I was making all the money, but I was letting my ex-husband control it all. I didn't want to see it. It gave me, like, nausea to look at the bank accounts, honestly. Like, I did not want to know about the finances.
And that's something that came from,
Of course, it came from, like, from my
your
younger
culture,
years,
your
like,
background.
yeah, exactly. So when I shifted that, like, everything shifted.
So that's what Sahili and I, our seminar that by the time this airs that we're working on, a big part of it is going to be mindset.
Yes.
Because that's the part that you need to work on first
That's
before
where you
you
start.
work on the budget, before you
100%.
work on the look, before you work on the learning. You got to understand your mindset. You got to work on the mindset.
Correct.
So we
Working on
can't
that.
wait. I know, we are always like talking.
Oh my God, we
miles
could,
an
yeah, we
hour.
need like part 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
We're definitely going to
'Cause
do that, and we're definitely going to come back. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Please tune in next time for our next fun-filled, interesting hustle and flow episode.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.